What's up, guys? It's Flossin. First off, I want to say this video isn't going to be like my usual stuff. I know I say that a lot, but this one really isn't. This is more a tender topic that's been circulating around the Zenless community for the past few days: HP inflation and in-game content, specifically Deadly Assault. There have been lots of opinions, but also undeniable truths about this. And while we could sit here and drown in the cesspool of who said this, who said that, I'm not here to do that. I want to give you an objective look at what's happening while also sharing my personal experiences with the steady rise of HP inflation. If you want to hear my personal opinion, I'll leave that for the end. And one thing I want to make crystal clear: I don't want anyone attacking people over this. I don't care if they're in the Zenless community or not. If you go out of your way to harass someone because they disagree, you're not a part of my community. I don't condone it, and I don't stand for it. Sorry for the long-winded intro, but I needed to get that out of the way. Now, let's get started. To catch everyone up, let's talk about the video that sparked the most recent wave of discussion. A couple of days ago, Average Lug Gamer uploaded his thoughts on HP inflation and Deadly Assault. He pointed out something that a lot of us have noticed. Enemy HP has been steadily rising since patch 1.4. That's not an opinion, that is a fact. It's undeniable. Even though sometimes HP dips a little from cycle to cycle, if you step back and compare patch 1.4 to where we are now in 2.2, the overall curve is nearly up. ALG also explained how this impacts scores. Imagine a past Deadly Assault, you got 40k on Miasma Priest. Same team, same execution, but now you're only getting 35k. Nothing has changed except inflated HP cutting into your score. That feels bad, and I think most people would agree it's another undeniable truth. If HP keeps rising while nothing else changes, scores naturally go down. ALG went on to say that this hurts how he expresses skill in the game. It makes him question whether older characters will even be able to clear content in the future. And I'll pause here to add my own quick thoughts. I agree. Right now, today, our roster can still clear. But if this trend continues aggressively, it will become a problem. It's important to note that this is heavily anti-consumer. It pushes players away from pulling who they like and more towards pulling who they need. That tension exists in every gacha, but HP inflation tilts the scale even further toward meta chasing. Now, let's ask the obvious question. If HP has been rising for a while, why did it suddenly explode as a topic now? This is where I want to give my perspective. Back on May 1st, 2025, I made a video about HP inflation myself. At the time, I argued the rise made sense because of two big shakeups. The first one was the decibel system overhaul. One of the core systems of Zenless was completely changed, and the new system boosted team damage potential across the board, thanks to everyone on a squad being able to use their ultimate, versus only having access to one at any given time. The second one was the release of Miyabi and Astriao, two of the strongest agents we've ever seen. Their raw power forced the devs to rethink how bosses were balanced. To me, it was logical that HP needed to rise to keep pace with those changes. We were all adjusting, the devs were testing the waters, and it felt like balance was being recalibrated. I also want to mention that Zenless's biggest critique up to this point was that the game was too easy. It was a MASH simulator that required no one to really interact with the gameplay itself. If you don't believe me, here's a short clip of Mr. Pokey clearing the old Zenless content while being blindfolded.
Oh mate, I don't feel like. Oh my, did I do it? Did I do it? Oh my god!
That's why I wasn't worried back then. And honestly, I still think I was correct with that read at the time. But fast forward to today and 2.2, those drastic changes are long past us. Miyabi and Astriao aren't new balancing factors anymore. And yet, HP keeps going up. At this point, it no longer feels like a natural balance adjustment. It just feels like raw inflation to make clears harder. And this isn't just my experience. Players across the board have shared poll results and clears showing that their Deadly Assault scores are consistently lower than before. Now, I want to talk about my experience and what I've seen personally. On screen right now is my most recent high score against Miasmic Fiend, 25k with Jane, Seth, and Yuzuha. This is a strong anomaly team that should handle this boss, and it does. I cleared with 3 stars in total and got the highest amount of rewards. But the last time I fought Miasmic Fiend with the same execution, same team, same build, I scored 30k. Apologies for not having the screenshot of my past results, you'll just have to trust me on it. Anyway, that's a 5k drop without me changing anything, and I think that's the issue. Now yes, this boss favors disorder teams and ether damage. If I had Vivian, I probably could have pushed higher, but here's the thing. I don't like Vivian. I made a whole video about skipping her, and nothing will change my mind. That's not hate, that's just me not enjoying the character. So yeah, my score could have been better, but the fact that it has to be better only if I pull for the premium option, for me, fun is chasing high scores with characters I enjoy. Seeing that fun get undercut by inflated HP and FOMO-driven character choices doesn't feel good. Also, speaking of FOMO, Vivian hasn't been seen since 1.7, and we still don't know when her rerun is coming. That means even if I wanted to change my mind about her, I can't. That's also another layer of frustration that feeds into the whole HP problem. Now, I know some people might say, okay, so just pull who you need, and I get that. I'm actually blessed enough to have the resources to do so if Vivian comes around, but that's missing the point. Let's say you're not me. You're a new player averaging 20k and Deadly Assault every cycle. You've built smart, you've pulled wisely, and you've stayed caught up. Last cycle, you scraped by. This cycle, you didn't clear. Not because you built wrong, or you played poorly, or you pulled wrong, but because HP spiked. That's not fair design. That's artificial gatekeeping. And I'll be honest, it took ALG's perspective and the community discussion to really make me realize how bad this looks for players in that position. Now, I know this is the part most of you are probably waiting for. My personal opinion on HP inflation. And I'll be honest with you. I've wrestled with how I should word this because no matter how I phrase it, it's going to sound harsh. So here it is. I don't care. Yeah, I know. That probably sounds cold. It probably sounds dismissive. But let me explain what I mean by that, because it's not me brushing this off. When I say I don't care, I mean that for me personally, as a player, HP inflation doesn't impact the way I enjoy the game. That's just the truth. I've never been someone who gets super attached by every character. Outside of Soldier 11 and a little bit of Sambi, I don't have those deep ties. If a character falls off, I'll bench them, swap someone in, and keep it moving. That's how I've always played gachas. It's not emotional for me, it just is what it is. So, in that sense, I really don't care. If the devs keep cranking HP higher, I'll adapt. If my current roster can't cut it, I'll pivot to something else. That's just how I approach the game. But here's the thing, and this is where I need to slow down and emphasize. This situation is not about me. This is about the players who do care, the players who pull for characters they love, who want to stay loyal to a certain archetype, whether that's anomaly, attack, or rupture. The players who spend months of grinding, building, and refining a team they actually connect with, only to watch HP inflation chip away at their ability to succeed with said team. And yeah, Zenless has always had matchups. It's been the norm for a while now. There have always been easier and harder ways to clear depending on the content. But what's happening now is different. When HP inflation gets so steep that you're practically forced into specific characters just to clear it all, it stops being about matchups and starts being about mandatory pulls. That's not healthy design. So, while I can sit here and say, I don't care, I want to be very clear. I absolutely understand why you care. I support the people raising their voices about this because it's not about my experience. It's about protecting the freedom of players that make this game fun for so many others. If someone wants me to fill out a survey that says, please stop the egregious amount of HP inflation that's happening, then sure, I'll do it. Because again, I don't care. For me, HP inflation is just another obstacle to work around. But for a lot of you, it's a direct attack on how you want to enjoy Zenless. And that matters. Also, really quick, I want to ask the community a open-ended question. What's the downside of increasing HP over time? Well, we already know the downsides, right? Older characters become irrelevant, new characters become necessary, and builds constantly need to change. But if HP stopped rising, or even decreased, what's the actual downside? I've sat at my desk for over 20 minutes trying to think of a downside, but I can't think of one. And that's why I think this is bigger than just a balance tweak. We are no longer talking about decibel changes or overpowered agents like Miyabi and Astro Yao. This is just inflation for inflation's sake, and it chips away at the freedom Zenless used to reward: skill expression, team creativity, and personal playstyle. I'm not a fan of this. I've never been a fan of this, even in my original HP inflation video. And I do hope that the egregious HP inflation that's happening either slows down tremendously or just stops in general. That's all I have for today. I know I didn't break down every single matchup or weakness that goes on in Deadly Assault, but if I did, we would be here forever. I wanted to mainly focus on the HP climb itself because that is the heart of the problem. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree? Disagree? Either way, let's keep it civil. Sorry if this video was more serious and somber than usual. This isn't the type of content I enjoy making, but it's something I felt needed to be said. I hope you guys have a good day, and I will see you in the next video.